Good morning, Barcelona, and welcome to Thursday in English Radio on RKB 106.9 FM. And to our smooth jazz and wine mornings, I'm Virgil, still and always. And I welcome you to our celebration of wines and the people who provide them. And I'll be here to provide the music that makes the savoring of those wines that much better. Joining us today is Albert Roca from Cellers Augustus Forum. And Albert, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you, Virgil. It's a pleasure.
Well, I think the thing about August Forum is that the name and the wines have a lot of history to them. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
That's a lot of history. That's an history. I love to say that it was like an accident. So I'm coming from the third generation as vine growers in my family. One day we bought a land near, in front of the sea, near between Barcelona and El Vendrell. Mm-hmm. It's near El Vendrell. So when my parents, they started making wine for some friends, these friends, they wanted more wine. That was the beginning. So we never expect to create the winery, but we love food, we love wine. So at the end, was a really nice accident. After 35 years, we make wine, we make vinegars, we export in many markets, 40 markets. We had been growing, we're still a small team. But when they decided to use the name for the wines and for the vinegars, they use Roman names, right, with V's. Mm-hmm. So Augustus is the brand of the wines and Forum is the brand of the vinegars with V, because it's the Via Augusta road that cross my vineyards. So the only thing that separates my vineyards to the sea is the Via Augusta road, the road that Roman people was using more than 2,000 years ago, yeah. Going from Roma town, Roma city to Cadiz by all the Mediterranean coast. We can say that Roman people was walking through to my land and they was planting vineyards where I have my vineyards today. I wish to have some.
We had the vines from that time, would have been great.
I wish, because should be something amazing, but that's not possible. So, but today we feel proud because it's something amazing to be in a place that has all this long history making wines.
Well, I think we talked about a little bit before that there are olive trees that these same Romans planted.
Yeah.
2,000-3,000 years ago, and they're producing olives still.
Many people they don't know that, but if you go to Asenia village, there is the biggest plantation of millennium olive trees that you can get in the world. These trees was planted by these Roman people that was walking through to my land, that they decided to plant olive trees there. So these trees, they have more than 2,500 years old. Some of them, almost one of them, I think it's 3,000 years. And they're still producing olives. So you can get this olive oil, you can get it in the market. It's amazing. It's history.
I think it's fantastic. I think the thing is that, again, also the thing we talked about, the topography of the land in terms of how the land was configured over the centuries was interesting. It's like Montserrat, the mountains of Montserrat, yes. At one point were underwater.
Yeah, well, the history, we can check the history, but millions of years ago, the Montserrat Mountains was under the sea, the Mediterranean Sea. So Barcelona, the Penedès, my wine region, everything was under the sea. The sea moves until the point that we can see the sea today, which is where we have the Mediterranean Sea. And left, like if you check the map of the Penedès in 3 dimensions, you can see it in my website. You will see that why we are special, because we are the only winery that we are at the end of the seabed, like a riverbed, right, that is in front of the sea, facing the sea. So what happened when you go to at the end of riverbed? You get a lot of minerals, soils, right, everything coming from the river. So we are rich in minerals, fossils, everything in our soils in my winery, because are coming from these millions of years moving the sea. So I love to say that we are different. I love to say that, we are not better than anyone, but we are different. We have different soils. So with different soils, we can have different type of grapes. So that's the reason, because my wines, I trust that we are different than the rest.
Well, the thing is that it's true that you've left so much of the riverbed sediment, but also left the richness of the passage of the river and everything that brought along with it, and it all settled there. So the land is very, very fertile. It's very different, and it's conducive to growing very unique kinds of vines and wines and grapes.
Totally true, and not just the soil. We have the breeze of the sea. We are just facing the sea. We have mountains around. So the sea we can say that the breeze of the sea in Penedès goes inside Penedès through to my land.
I love
I don't want to be, I don't know, something.
you can
but
brag. You can brag.
I can
Let's
show
just-
this. I can show you this. We can see this in a map. So I'm
Yes.
not inventing nothing.
Right.
That's totally true. But this breeze, what helps this breeze? It makes that we never have disease, because many disease like we had in some people
The phylloxera and all that, yes.
this year in Penedès, it's because they didn't have wind. So when you have the wind, all the disease like humidity, a lot of things, the humidity, which is the worst thing that we can get in
Right.
with the plants, disappear. So this is something also really nice. All these things we know today. My parents, when they bought this land, they didn't know that. So
Right.
this is something that step by step we've been discovering in our property.
Well, it says sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. So I think your
It's-
father,
it's a
your
mix.
father, and your brother.
Success, to be, in my opinion, to have lucky is when you win the lottery.
Right,
You have lucky.
right.
But today to have success is not a little bit of luck, of course, but
A lot of
you must
skill,
work
too.
very well. Yeah, you must work very well.
We'll be back to talk more with Albert right after this. And that was Eliana Elias with Aguas de Marzo, or the Waters of March. Well, Albert, you brought us some wonderful wines, and you get great stories behind all of them. So tell us a little bit about the wines we're going to see today.
In after all these years in our winery, we are making, I say, 3 generations of wines. So we have the first generation that was made by my parents with international grapes, French grapes, Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc. I bring 2 of them. So the second generation is made by me and my brother, which is and my cousin Enrique Roca, the winemaker. So it's local grapes, single vineyards from single special places that we can get in Penedès. So with the micro vinifications, micro means small, we can taste in 7 glasses, 7 wines, you can taste all the wine region. That was the objective of micro vinifications project. And the last step, the third generation that we are developing now is the nude. Nude, it means naked.
Right.
So it means nothing. That's the wine how develops alone. It's amazing. It's, we could say natural. Well, we say with minimal intervention. So that's the third generation that we are developing. We are working every year to create new things, special things. And right now we're going to taste, the first one is one of the micro vinifications, which is the Xarel·lo Plus 100.
Okay, now again, let's talk a little more about micro vinification so people can understand what it means. It means small plots of vines that are controlled, and they're all basically the same type of grapes and all of that, or what?
In our family, just to talk just a little bit about the team, we are between 8 people. 8 people, we are doing everything from the vineyards to the sales in 40 countries. So my brother is the vine grower, is doing the same like my father. My cousin Enrique is the winemaker and the salesman. So Enrique Roca, Uriel Roca, Albert Roca. We control all the process. What we do when we decided to create the second generation, the micro vinifications, micro it means small. So we was looking for our own vineyards, small pieces of our vineyards, or new old vineyards that we can get in the middle of nowhere. We say magical vineyards because no one else sometimes knows
where they are. Right.
So we control, my brother controls during all the year the production, and then we make the micro vinifications. This line of micros, you can get, for example, wines, the Garnache that goes from 600 bottles to the maximum production of these micros, it goes to 2,500 bottles.
Still not a lot, but it's
it's very small production. It's very, very small. That's the reason. It's micro. Only we can make these micro vinifications from that single vineyard. If the quality of that vineyard it's not good, the vintage, it's gone. Perfect. I mean, we don't do it.
Well, first, so we have the Augustus Xarel·lo Plus 100.
Yes.
And this is a beautiful, I can see the color. It has I'm going to let you do the honors.
Put you a little bit?
Oh, please. Please, absolutely. Because...
Why we say 100, plus 100? This is a very emotional wine for me because comes from, this vineyard was from my grandmother. So I remember working in these vineyards since I have memory, so long time ago. And it's very special wine because the elaboration and because the vineyards. We say plus 100 because the papers of this vineyard has more than 115 years old. After phylloxera, that killed all the vineyards in Spain and almost in Europe, this vineyard was planted. So we are trying to demonstrate that this is one of the oldest vineyard of Xarel·lo that we can get today in Penedès. So this wine is made with one of the oldest vineyards.
So we are tasting grapes here that are more than 100 years old.
Right now, yes, we can demonstrate.
So again, tell me about it. It has a beautiful color to it, a little bit not yellow, a little tawny, almost like a fine honey shade to it. And
we are going to, this is 2017. Vintage.
2017, so, okay.
Yeah, it has been, the fermentation, it has been made 40% more or less inside oak barrels and the rest in concrete egg. And then we make, we age in his own lees in a concrete egg, but not with his own lees, if not the lees of the other 2 Xarel·los that we elaborate as the micros. So we say that this is a very unique elaboration in the world because it's triplex lees. Each wine you can age in his own list. This one, it's aged in 3 different lists. So thanks to this in mouth, you will see that it's more creamy, it's more long taste. Imagine, Virgil, that you keep some extra virgin olive oil in your mouth, or some creamy or some butter. That's the feeling that you can get when you age with the lees.
It's not like most white wines, that hits you. You have the taste, and it'll continue for the most part. With this, initially there's a smoothness that's in your mouth, and then you have a nice dry taste. But then
If you still breathe, you still feel the wine in mouth, the acidity, the freshness.
That's the only issue. If you breathe in, you're getting an entirely different complexity.
We are not making light wines for to drink a glass as an aperitif. We are making wines. In my family, we love to say that we love to eat, we love to drink. When you blend both things, that's with people, friends, family, that's magical. So we have wines with body to blend with food. So you can blend it with shellfish, you can blend it with sashimis, these ones, or with ceviches, or with any other. Also with some white meat, like
pork,
for example, because it has body.
It does. It does.
Eat it with cheese, but it's a long taste. Limes, lemons, some
no,
Mediterranean herbs.
It's definitely stays on the palate.
I'm
it's
still
wonderful.
talking. Still talking, and I still feel in mouth. So that's what we. That's the process that we do with the aging in concrete egg. This is what we get: complexity and long taste in mouth, with balance, of course.
I think it's great because, again, it's now with this wine. I mean, we talk about the foods. I would say we should not make this with stews or with gravies or something like that. It should be a simple meal, like you said, sashimi, ceviche, or whatever.
Something more plain, more clean. So you really blend. Sometimes I'm still thinking people that we receive in the winery that say, "Oh, okay, red wine goes for meat, white wine goes for fish." And come on, what's a tuna? Tuna, it's a protein.
Right.
Protein works very well with tannins. Tannins, it's red wine. So at the end, all these things, we should change all this mentality. And in my opinion, many of the wines, we develop our wines like a meal. For me, my wines, you can feel it like as a meal. Why not?
All right, yeah.
You enjoy a good glass, you enjoy the wine. Of course, if you blend with food, it's fantastic.
Right.
But both things, and if you blend with food, you should get a balance with the food.
Right. Well, I think that's the other thing that when people start buying wines, I think one of the things that people will say, okay, well, I've never been in a wine store. I see the wines. I go to Consum or I go to Bon Prix. I go to the supermarket. They have wines there. How do I know what kind of wine to buy? So when you look at a label, what should they look for?
I know that people usually, when they don't know about that, you go to a wine store, you see a lot of labels. So people, they usually go, in my opinion, commercial opinion, they go for the label and for the price.
Yes.
If they don't know nothing about
anything about it, right?
In my opinion, they should think about what they like. Imagine if I talk about sashimi of tuna. I mean, if I give sashimi of tuna to somebody, people know if they like tuna, if they like sashimi,
right.
Okay. The wines should be the same. All my wines has the brand and the grape. Augustus Chardonnay, Augustus Cabernet, Augustus Xarel·lo, Micro Xarel·lo. Why? Because the grape is the most important. Wine is not made in the winery. Wine is made on the vineyard. True. And if you want a Chardonnay, you must taste Chardonnay.
Right.
But when you buy Chardonnay, you must know that how taste a Chardonnay. So in my opinion, people, they should first discover what they like. They should go to wineries to taste different grapes, different styles, different elaborations. And then when you know what you love, then you can go
easy to buy.
And you can spend more or less. Or you can buy a very classical label.
Right.
But you must buy what you like. That's the thing. Many mistakes goes because they buy something that they don't know.
Right. Well, they'll go to a place and they'll see a pretty label.
Fancy labels.
And they say, "Oh, that looks good, so it must be something." But then
we can also talk another day about marketing, but,
right? Absolutely.
which is huge world.
True.
But in my opinion, everything goes for the grape. Everything goes because there is many elaborations. You taste Xarel·lo, but Xarel·lo you can get it in Cava, you can get it in many other places, in many other things, different elaborations. But if you love Xarel·lo, you can enjoy buying different type of Xarel·lo.
I think that's great. I think it's perfect. So you talked about Chardonnay, and you brought a wonderful Chardonnay here for us as well.
Let me put you a little bit of the Chardonnay.
It's wonderful. I was just tasting this. So now this is your Augustus Chardonnay.
We can say that this is not this bottle, but this is the first wine that we create in my family. So all the project, all the winery, everything that goes behind
Started here.
started thanks to our Augustus Chardonnay.
Okay.
At the beginnings, my parents instead to plant local grapes, Xarel·lo, Macabeo, Parellada, they start planting international grapes like, for example, Chardonnay. People thought that we was totally crazy. They couldn't understand why we was planting Chardonnay in Penedès and we was producing 5,000 kilos per hectare, when in Penedès, long time ago, they was producing more than 10,000.
Right.
I always love to explain very fast. Imagine, Virgil, that they give you, we squeeze a lemon in this glass, and you drink the lemon juice, okay? It's going to be pure. What happens if I start adding water inside the glass until the moment you lose the water? The taste, the flavor of the lemon juice disappears.
Gone, right.
When I give you a Augustus Chardonnay, what do you want to taste? A Chardonnay pure or a Chardonnay with water? So
right.
From the beginnings, we was concentrating the production in the vineyard. It means when you concentrate the grapes, you concentrate the flavors, you concentrate everything. It's less water in the grapes. This is what we are looking for. People thought that we was crazy because they were selling by volume, by quantity. We was not talking about volume. We was talking about quality.
The purity and the essence of the grape. You wanted the grape to come through, and that was the thing to really do.
Totally. Today it's very well. People, when you talk about quality, but trust me, 25 years ago it was about quantity, not quality.
So we look at a Chardonnay now. How does your Chardonnay, let's say, compare to a French or a California Chardonnay?
The climate in California is quite similar to us. It's more warm than if we compare it in La Bourgogne, for example, in France. In France, they age more the Chardonnay, but we are Mediterranean. So at the end, we are facing the Mediterranean Sea, which is very strange for a Chardonnay. And because our soil is very calcary, because it's in front of the sea, it makes like a lot of freshness and acidity that you can get in this wine. You can only get it in our land. This is something special. People, when they was tasting my Chardonnay or very old bottles of Chardonnay that sometimes we open 20 years old bottles and are amazing, all of them, they say, that's Bourgogne. That's Bourgogne. That's Bourgogne all the time. No, this is in front of the Mediterranean Sea. They say, we cannot believe it.
Well, because in Burgundy, again, the climate is totally different and the soil is different. Totally. But this
one has a lot of richness. It's a lot of tropical fruits, lime, lemons, bananas.
You just savor it. And I haven't tasted it yet, but just the aroma, the flavor that comes through just in the smell.
The fermentation, it's 4 months and a half, more or less, in French oak. So at the end, what we get in mouth, we make fermentation malolactic, and you get volume again in your mouth.
Is.
Long taste, volume, creamy.
I love this.
No, well, that's one of my favorites too. So.
No, it's one because I say to people, if I'm having friends over for dinner, first off, you eat with your eyes, and then you eat with your nose. And then finally, then you put it in your mouth. Same thing here with a good wine. You look to see, is there the clarity, is it smooth in the aroma? Does the aroma, reach you and penetrate? And then, because again, now when I go to a restaurant and order a bottle of wine, I know by just smelling it whether it's a good bottle of wine or not.
It's thing as a chef. Imagine a chef. Many times I talk with chefs talking about my vinegars, and at the end, doesn't matter what they say to the chef. At the end, what they ask, they say, "Albert, let me taste," because they go for the taste.
Right.
I can tell a lot of things about my wines, my vinegars, but at the end, it's about taste. That's the most important thing: taste and aroma.
Absolutely.
So I always say that something is good for me. It's good when you have good taste, good smell. Simple like that.
Absolutely.
I enjoy with that. So if don't have good smell and good taste, for me, personally for me, that's not
it's a waste.
Good quality. Maybe another one, they love it, but that's very simple like this. In my opinion, this is much simple.
Right. Now, so with this one, what would you recommend that we drink? What kind of food is best?
I love two things with my Chardonnay, which is blue cheese and it's foie gras. foie gras, mi-cuit. I love both things because you still remain in your mouth, you still remains some acidity and freshness that cleans the fat of the cheese
I was
and
going to say,
the
both
foie.
of those things have a high fat content in them.
And both things because you feel also a little bit of fat in this wine because we also work with the lees.
Right.
So this combination, for me, it's fantastic. It's well, you cannot stop drinking and you cannot stop eating.
I
So
know, it's great.
that's the worst thing, huh? That's the worst thing about the wine.
Listening, well, yeah, it's good. Well, you're listening to Radio Canal Barcelona, English Radio on Thursday, 106.9 FM. We'd like to talk more with Albert right after this. And that was Sharon E. Wade and Stefan Harris with Offering. Well, talking about Offering, you've brought us another great Augustus Forum red wine this time, which is perfect for us to think about in terms of balance. You had some great white wines, but now the red ones. And I think the things that was interesting as we talked a little bit in the break is that the white wines, apart from others, are a single variety of grape in each one that you've used to cultivate and create the wine. Oftentimes, winemakers will blend things together and try to create something, but this one you're letting the vine and the grape talk to us. So how are we doing it now with the red?
With the red, I tried to bring you something really special as well. This is our Antigua Reservas 2000. What it means, Antigua Reservas 2000? It means that this wine was, during the process of elaboration, was the vintage 2000. It took 1 year, and then remains 19 years aging in a bottle. So this bottle, it has been
Aging
to taste today this bottle here
for 19 years.
In 20 years.
In 20.
For the elaboration, 19 aging in the bottle. This is our reserva from our family, but we work with a lot of top sommeliers and a lot of people that they love wines. So they was asking for something older, and we say, okay, we're gonna show you that we can prove that we can do wines that you can really age. So we start to sell a little bit more than 1,000 bottles of this vintage. It remains, I think, it's 300 bottles in the winery. Okay. And it's this is the wine. So it's Cabernet. The blend is Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, a little bit of Cabernet Franc. Okay. Like a Bordeaux blend. But with all the grapes and all the elaboration that we can get here in the Mediterranean Sea. So the flavor, taste, everything. This wine, for example, we advise. We say that it's better do not decant, because when you open after 20 years, still totally alive. You will feel in mouth, you will see the smell. Usually people, they should decant. If you do it, I recommend to do it very smoothly. If not, you can use Coravine, or you can use other types of things to taste. But let me give you a glass.
Please. Please. This is... Very, very full, very, very dense. The color is very, very deep.
Think that this, Virgil, 20 years old. 20 years old.
Oh, yes.
What you can get after 20 years, you develop all the young smells like red fruits, and
I'm getting fruits. I'm getting
chocolates, leathers, coffees. It's a lot of complexity. Licorice. You can also get like a marmalade, this type of age, but really elegant.
This is,
and it's just going up from the bottom. So. Amazing in mouth. 20 years old and it's still very soft, elegant, long taste.
And incredibly smooth.
And involve your mouth. I
mean, it's building inside. I'm having an orgasm, folks, in terms of my mouth. This is amazing.
And you can talk, and it's a long.
It becomes, just builds and builds and builds. It's just
coffees and chocolates that remind in your mouth.
All of the flavors are not in the first taste. The flavors continue to come as it stays in your palate and in your mouth. I think it's wonderful.
And if you just leave this, if you have just a glass of this wine and you develop inside the glass, you're going to see that you can really enjoy this wine for, I don't know how to say, but hours. Because it develops, it changes, it opens. Right now it's just not open. But imagine how it's right now.
But I think the thing is, if we wanted to look at this, in terms of that, this becomes a wine for a whole night. I think you could start off with a little jamon and some nuts and whatever. Sure. Then you go to the dinner, and you could have a nice piece of meat, a steak, whatever, or even a tuna, and then you just continue drinking for the rest of the night.
And you can go for a dessert of chocolate with more than 85% of cacao, for example.
Absolutely.
The bitterness and the taste of the pure chocolate, you can get it inside.
With the pure chocolate, this would complement it perfectly.
A coulant, for example, if you love chocolate or something like a cake of chocolate. I love with more than 85% of cacao. But also for people, I'm not a smoker, but for people that smoke cigars, you can also blend the cigar with that. A cigar, okay? There is some blendings that sometimes, because I met with people that they love cigars and they blend with wines, so this one can also be
I smoke a cigar maybe once a year. This would be a waste of the wine. as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what you do with a cigar. Put it in the wine. No, the wine is meant for food. It is meant for food, for eating, for enjoyment. I think this means it's an amazing wine.
Let me say about the cigar that it's because they smoke. Because this wine, it has been in one barrel.
All right.
We smoke the barrel, so this smoke comes. But anyway, I'm totally like you. Of course, I love food and I love wines. I'm not a smoker.
You're right. Yeah, no, but there is a smokiness to it. And that comes from the barrel, from the oak,
from the age.
Okay. Yes. Now, just curiosity, where would this price in terms of in the wine store?
All my range of wines you can get in the store from 5-6 euros. To the maximum, which is, for example, the Chardonnay, you can get it for 24 euros. The Xarel·lo Plus 100, for example, you can get it for 15 euros. That's the problem, if you can get it, because it's 1,000 bottles. So and the Trajanos de Antiguas Reservas, it's going to go to 29-30 euros per bottle.
Still not expensive.
Are not.
They're not expensive. I mean,
people get say, why it should be more expensive? It's single. The elaboration is unique in the world. The grapes. Why should be more expensive? That's the question. I mean, the relation satisfaction price must be really good. When you taste this wine, and I'm telling you that it costs, if you can get the bottle, 25, 28 euros, you're gonna buy it. You're going to enjoy it?
Absolutely, because again, I think about it, in my mind, there's a standard in my head. The most expensive wine I've ever tasted was a Vega Sicilia Unico. Okay, and I paid 200 euros for the bottle.
Was not in a restaurant.
No, it was not in a restaurant. No, forget about it. But again, I tasted it, and I'm thinking, all right, for 200 euros, I'm expecting this to just, I'm going to fall out of the chair. And it was nice. It was good, but it wasn't a wow. Whereas this
nothing wrong to talk about Sicily, but I love wines and I have a lot of friends there. But like you explained, this experience, for me, it's something missing.
Yeah.
It's missing the wow. You say the wow. That's the word.
Yeah.
So this is what we try in our wines.
And this has the wow. There's no question about it. This has the wow. This is yes, this will be the wine that if any of you out there listening, you want to give me a Christmas present, this this is what I want. It's Augustus Antiguas Reserva, whatever the year is we find. But again,
that's the only one. 2000.
2000.
It's not in more than 30 years in our history. We only have two vintages: 1999, which it means from the last 1999, and 2000. The 1999 is protected, so but the 2000 is the only one, so it's this one. It's no coming anyone. No, it's 2000. That's it.
Now again, as we talk about it, and we talked about appreciating wines, that being able to develop your own palate. How do we really cultivate our palates? We say, all right, if you like Chardonnay, you taste the Chardonnay, you know what Chardonnay is, and it's in your mind. But then, how do we begin to cultivate our palates and say, oh, well, this is a great Chardonnay. This is a much better Chardonnay than anything else I've tasted. How do we develop that sophistication in terms of what we drink?
That question really is very complicated to answer because we talk about taste. Taste is really subjective thing. So, in my opinion, how we can cultivate go to drink more wines, to taste more than drink, to taste wines, and to eat. That's the only way that we can really improve. Let me give you an example. Imagine that we born in Australia. in Australia or in New Zealand. New Zealand, they make Chardonnays as well.
Right.
They age in oak, they make the fermentation, and usually they do between 8-15 months that they found. What happened when people that they drink Chardonnays and they born in New Zealand comes to my winery? My Chardonnay is aged 4 months and a half in oak. When that people taste my Chardonnay, they say, Albert, it's missing oak in this Chardonnay. But what happened when I taste the Chardonnay from New Zealand? What's too much for me?
Right.
It's too oaky.
Too oaky.
So
yeah.
who is right? Both we are right. So the palate becomes from when we are kids. So depending what you have been eating and drinking during all your life, your
Will
palate.
influence you in terms of what you do.
Okay. So at the end, which is the answer? Eat and drink what you love, and try to learn more about these
And
things. That's
just
the only
increase
thing
it.
that we can say to improve.
Makes sense to me. Well, we'll be back to talk more with Albert right after this. And that was Lee Ridenour and Harvey Mason and Bob James doing A Little Bumping. That's a old West Montgomery tune that they've just kept current, and it's been here to help us enjoy the wines. Now, Albert, one of the great things that is interesting about what you folks do at Augustus Forum is that apart from wines, you also make wonderful wine vinegars. Now, again, as you see on your website, which I love, is that only from high-quality wines are the best vinegars born.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, it just, first off, I don't think of vinegars and wines going together, but obviously you guys do. So tell us about how it happens.
Still a lot, nothing wrong with that, but still a lot of people that they still thinking that vinegar comes from bad wine, which is wrong. Let me give you another example. How you can cook a good dish with bad ingredients.
Okay.
What you need to make a good vinegar, good wine. What you need to make a good wine, good organic grapes. And what you need to make a good organic grapes, the best soils, the best lands. This is our traceability.
Right.
So to make a good vinegars, we need good wines. My Chardonnay wine that you already tasted, that's the same wine, the same that we use to age 3 years in a Cellers system to transform in my Forum Chardonnay vinegar. My Cabernet Sauvignon vinegar comes from the same lands than you taste the Antigua Reservas. And the Merlot from the Merlot. So we use some of our best wines to make my vinegar.
Well, it's crazy.
I know that it sounds crazy, but it's simple. Good wines to make good vinegar. Simple like this. And when you taste, many people, some of my have customers in South Korea and Japan, China, that they drink my vinegars by glass. They say, "Oh, that's better than some of the wines that they tasted."
I love that.
It sounds funny.
It does.
But my vinegars, when you're going to taste the vinegar, you're going to get a lot of things that you already tasted in my wines, because my vinegars are my wines that just simply age between 3 and 25 years in aging in oak.
Really?
And became Forum. That's simple. No additives, no colorants, nothing added.
Because I think most of us would think about vinegar. Okay, it's got the basic white vinegar. We take the bottle off the shelf. Or we think we're going to get better a balsamic that's from Modena in Italy and whatever. And that's our vinegar knowledge for the most part.
Like the wines, you have a lot of wine regions, like many countries producing wine. With the vinegars, the same. You can get beautiful vinegars from Jerez, from Reggio Emilia. In Reggio Emilia, I love Acetos Tradicionales Balsamics, not balsamics. Acetos Tradicionales, which is nothing with the balsamics in Banyuls in France. So there is a lot of wine regions that they also produce vinegars, good vinegars. But there's still this that I'm teaching right now about vinegars in 35 culinary schools in Spain and around the world. So I try to teach the young chefs about how to cook with good vinegars. Because when you say vinegar, people think in vinaigrettes. That's it.
Well, so, all right, so now just to educate us and educate me, because I love to cook. Now, how should we use vinegar?
Again, people, when you say vinegar, they think in something acid, aggressive, they strong. What you can use with vinegar, you can make a vinaigrette. Okay, in my website, you can see hundreds of recipes that you can do with vinegar: rice, meat, cheese, reductions, ice creams, soups, sauce. It's a lot of things. Cocktails. I have a recipe book with cocktails as well, made by a teacher from SET in Barcelona, a culinary school in SET in Barcelona. So it's a lot of things that you can do with a good vinegar. A vinegar, it's a condiment, and a good vinegar increase the flavor of the ingredients. But a bad vinegar don't increase, destroy the flavors. So it must be balanced.
Okay, so,
like the wines.
So tell us what we have here.
What we have here, we're gonna do a vertical taste, like we can do a wine. We can do a wine. So we go from less intense to more intense. The first one that we're gonna taste is our Chardonnay Forum vinegar.
Okay.
This one comes from Cellers of 3 years old. So my Chardonnay wine that you already taste, Virgil, that we age in a Cellers system, we have more than 1,200 barrels aging non-stop. One drop of my vinegar today, one drop is more expensive in time and in money than my best wine. How much it costs? 25 years of your life. If I give you 25 years of life, what you going to pay me? That's
okay. So yes.
Chardonnay, one drop on your hands. You can smell it. You can taste it.
Ooh.
Smooth, freshness, limes, lemons. Think in the wine that you have in a glass. the Chardonnay that you tasted.
Right.
Second one, still there. It's not aggressive. Why should be aggressive? If
This
it's
is-
aggressive, what they said before, if it gives a good flavor, good taste, that's something good.
I mean, you folks can't appreciate this because just one drop.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing sensation and feeling because you're getting an incredible amount of flavor, of taste, and of richness that from a vinegar. So it's the perfect balance. I'm thinking about this. You could use it with against a nice mustard, a Dijon mustard, and
Or a mignonette sauce for the
mignonette,
oysters, or you can use it as a. If you change the lemon, for example, lemon it's acid citric. This is acid acetic.
Right.
Lemon it's a little bit more aggressive. So you can use it for reduction. You
Right.
can use it for any shellfish. If you make a fish in the oven,
Hmm.
spread Chardonnay on top, put it in the oven, and people is going to ask you about what did you add in this fish.
Right.
I cannot see it because Chardonnay has no
Right.
color, but they feel it. I mean,
you have to. I mean, that's amazing.
it's a lot of things that salmorejos, soups,
Right.
sauce, a lot of things.
This one,
Second one is the Cabernet Sauvignon, my Cabernet Sauvignon wine that we aged minimum 8 years in Cellers, 8
Okay.
years, and becomes this one.
so 8 years of aging
Yeah.
instead of a wine becomes a vinegar.
Yes. So what you get after 8 years, you get all the evolution of the wine, aging in oak.
The flavor, just the smell, the aroma. Is it?
I found freshness, chocolates, coffees, red fruits.
There's a sweetness,
Yeah.
and then a little bit of a tartness, but a lingering fullness.
And if you still breathe, you can get a lot. You are tasting one drop. Why one drop?
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
it's not about quantity; it's about quality.
Right.
So one drop, it's a lot. It's full of flavor that you can bring all these flavors to the dish.
That's why it's not like a typical balsamic where you got to throw in a teaspoonful, a tablespoon. No, this is just it's rich. It's
drops.
full. It's just
One mistake that they found from many chefs is they add a lot of vinegar. They buy sometimes cheap vinegars.
Right.
Cheap vinegar comes from table wines, a mix of table wines. So table wines are very plain
Right.
wine sometimes. So imagine it's no flavor, but
Right.
you need to give flavor.
You have to add to
You
it,
add
and
a
that's
lot, so you add a lot of acidity. So at the end, it's not about quantity. When you add few drops, if you want a balance of the vinegar, you must
Yeah,
add
pure.
few drops about flavor. That's
okay.
it.
And again,
That one-
just balances with the taste of the wine. It just blends together very nicely. So this one is
This is the Merlot. The Merlot was developed. Well, I was doing a long trip in Belgium many years ago, and I met with Roger Van Dam. Roger Van Dam 2 years ago was the best pastry chef of the world by the top chefs
okay.
awards. And he's a big fan of Forum Chardonnay and Forum Cabernet. And he said, Albert, I'm a pastry chef, so I need something for
pastry,
pastry.
right.
I say, okay, thinking about this, I developed this one. This is my Merlot vinegar, Forum vinegar. This one is not aging in oak, so it reminds more freshness,
Right.
more acidity. It's more fruity. It's coming from Merlot.
Yeah.
Merlot is a very fruity grape.
And it's
Thi-
lighter. It's not as strong in some ways. It's
Less
very-
complexity than the
right.
other ones.
Yeah.
But imagine if you macerate strawberries with this, or you make a reduction on top of a cake,
Right.
or you can make ice creams, you can make ice cream cocktails with esterifications. You can make, well, there is a lot,
Very,
a
very,
lot of
very-
things. I'm not a chef, I love food,
Right.
but of course,
It's
if you
not.
talk with chefs that they know about Forum,
Right.
they can tell you 1,000 of different things that you
Right.
can do. The last one, that's the Flavius, the Reserva.
Okay.
We talk about 25 years old. We only produce 1,000 bottles of this vinegar per year. It's very complicated to find this
But
vinegar.
but the aroma is just amazing. It's just amazing.
Smell from the bottle directly. It's a bomb of flavor
Ooh.
and taste. One drop, this drop, if you don't taste nothing else, you can feel it for 5 minutes in your
Well,
mouth.
there's so much behind it, and I'm thinking, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave soon. But I think, Albert, I love your being here. Tell us a little bit where we can find out more about Augustus Forum.
Well, in our website, augustusforum.com, with this, of course, if you write with use, you can also get it in Google. So with augustusforum.com, you can get full information about our winery, also enoturies, visits, but inside that you can get products, all my wines, all my vinegars, if are not sold out. Of course, you can get it there. And after that, of course, we work with a lot of distributors in Spain, so you can get it in wine shops, you can get it in delicatessen shops, the forum as well, so
perfect.
It's easy to find.
Well, I think the thing is, as we say, we have to leave for today, but I think it's wonderful. I think what you brought us is fantastic, and I think now that I've tasted the vinegars, this kind of sums up a little bit about later on, today or some point tomorrow, having enjoyment with a friend. So we're going to leave you with a song by Gene Ammons called My Romance. Have a great one in Barcelona, and we'll see you next week. Thank you again, Albert.
Thank you very much, Mr.